Sparking Change for Harmonious Living is a TV show that inspires action. It motivates you to start a journey towards a more balanced, fulfilling life. This show explores well-being through spirituality, mental clarity, and physical health. It covers topics like mindfulness, nutrition, fitness, and spirituality, giving you practical advice to enhance your life. Tune in for a transformative adventure that ignites the change you seek.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change for Harmonious Living. I'm your host, Giovanna Tartarone.
And I'm your co-host, Ahmed Bahman.
Welcome, Ahmed. Welcome, everyone. So today's topic is going to be about decisions, making decisions. You know, we all have, I believe scientifically, we make about 35,000 decisions a day, which is crazy. But how do we know we're making the right decisions? And the importance of making a decision so that we can move forward, because until we make a decision on whatever it is, we feel stuck. So let's talk about that, Ahmed. Let's talk about how important decisions, to just make a decision and just go. Because sometimes, we procrastinate and we miss the opportunities.
Yeah, it's a single move that you can make in a millisecond, as Bob always described it. Mm-hmm. And it can solve enormous problems for you, and the lack of it can cause those enormous problems.
Absolutely.
So it has the potential to improve anything in your life, whether it's business, relationships, career, your health. It all depends. As Bob always said, your destiny depends on the decisions that you make right now. It's literally a magical mental activity because it's all inside.
Yes. And truthfully, what we are experiencing, right, are based on, it's the cause, the effect is the decision that we made. So what we are experiencing in life, it comes down to ultimately, at some point, we made the decision to accept that situation. Right? Maybe we didn't think about it, or we just made a quick decision without giving it some thought. But let's talk about let's start with, when we procrastinate on decisions and we're not sure, why is that happening?
Well, that's happening because we have not been trained on how to make a decision on our own. Like you go to a school, for example, you have a kid that is just catching up on preschool. Right? And the kid is imagining, using the faculty of imagination, and they're drawing beautiful pictures in their mind for the things that they wish they could do and accomplish. And there is no limits. The kid does not understand that there's things that cannot be done. Or for example, if I wanted to do something, the feeling of indecision is not there for a young child. Right? So what school is trained to do, it's trained to make the students follow orders rather than to decide for themselves. Always to raise their hand, ask a question, and if they ever think of doing something, they're usually shut down by saying, "Oh, that's a stupid idea. Oh, why would you ever want to do that?" See, the problem is that we have too many things going on in our outside world. Until we shut that out, where nobody can tell us no for the things that we want to do, we really open up the pathway for ourselves in order to make that decision.
Yes, I love that, because when we are listening to everybody on the outside and everybody's opinion, it can truly kill our dreams. Yes. And our desires, because we're looking at how many people did it, how many people didn't do it. Is this logical? Can I really accomplish this? So your own perception of the outside world is allowing you to make your decisions. And I think that's like a false security of whether we can accomplish something or not. We're not really following what we want. We're following what the masses say or the media says. And I think, that's definitely something that is hurting a lot of people from achieving their goals.
Absolutely. And the secret is you will never be ready for it. You see, decision is, I like to call it a cure for conflict and confusion. Why? Because it brings order to the mind. Conflict and confusion does not. Indecision causes conflict and confusion internally, and therefore it extends to the rest of the experience of your life. As Bob said it beautifully, he said, if you don't make a definite decision from the start to stop letting the outside world to control you, you're never going to get further from where you are right now.
Exactly. And some people rely on others to give them validation in their decision-making process, and then they take action. I mean,
Yes.
and again, it's not following your heart, it's following somebody else's, opinion. So my understanding is, if we desire something that, the world says it can't happen, but if we desire it so badly and we make a commitment and we make a decision, what we need to accomplish that will be presented in so many ways, right? Making that final decision based on what your heart is telling you will open up the doors to the impossible.
When you decide and you really feel that it's possible, all the things that lead to that possibility will start to appear in your life based on that decision.
So here's the little trick, that we must believe that we deserve whatever it is that we want. We must be worthy, feel worthy to receive it,
And
and that
expect
is,
it.
and expect it. And when we can get to that level of understanding, nothing can get in the way. Nothing can get in the way. Nothing can stop us. And there's many great people who have proven that over and over again. And we don't look at that. We're always looking at what people say and what's going on outside in the world. But we're now looking at the people, I hate to bring this up, but I remember as a teenager, we used to say something like, but we're good kids, we don't take drugs, we don't do this, we don't do that. And my dad just said, why are you looking at the ones that are doing, why are you comparing yourself to the ones that are doing drugs? Why don't you compare to yourself the ones that are, doing greater things? Like, first of all, we need to stop to compare, right? That's a big no-no. And when we make decisions, we're comparing ourselves to somebody else who did not. And I think, again, following our heart to allow nothing to get in the way of what we want and build that confidence, because that's really it comes down to, is confidence that we can do it.
Well, many people, they ask, okay, how do I manage to be better at decision making? Well, it's a solo journey. It all comes down to you. As Bob said, learning on how to make decision goes in many different steps, and one of them is that you have to study. And with study, you gain an understanding. Now, with understanding, you also start to take action, because
Right.
there's always things that you want to do, and you spend a lifetime thinking about it without taking that very first step. As you've said it many times, as to Giovanna, 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Now, once you do take that action, the understanding amplifies, and therefore you will gain something called an awareness. Like an aha moment starts to pop. Why? Because from the time that you've made that decision to take that first step and you do take that action, your life will start to change. The result of the decisions that you've made,
Mm-hmm.
followed by the action, can change everything in your life, rather than just being something as a wishful thinking. Instead of being a thinker, you're actually a doer.
And what just came to mind is that, why we don't make decisions. First, I don't think we were very well trained, like you said, growing up, to make decisions, right? If I had to do being a mom all over again, I would always present my kids a choice, whether it's in food or we go out shopping or something. I wanted to be the mom. I wanted to play the mom and always make decisions for them. But if I had to redo my life and redo that experience again when they're small, I would have always provided them a choice. Do you want to do this, and do you want to do that? Right. And that way they grow up with making decisions. But here's what I understand and what we learned, that fear paralyzes us. We don't make decisions because we are in fear of, failure. We are in fear of what other people may think. Um, and and we kill our dreams because of the fear. But if you're not getting uncomfortable, you're not growing. That weighs a lot more than faith. Like, we should have more faith, is what I'm saying, in making decisions, even if we don't know what's going to happen, and trust that those decisions that we want for ourselves are the best decisions we make. And let's talk about having faith in making a decision.
Well, regarding faith and fear,
Mm.
as Bob said it, my mentor Troy as well said it. He said it requires you to believe in something that you cannot see. So the choice is yours. Where are you adjusting your mental capacity to work with? Are you going to be working from a fear angle, or are you going to be working from faith? Well, if you study and once you gain an understanding, but you would come to realize that it requires the equal amount of energy in either areas. So if you move on forward with a correct vision, with a correct blueprint, and you hold on faith to that, you'll basically attract all the necessary things to accomplish that vision. Why? Because you're moving in with faith, you have an understanding, and you're expecting it. It is one of the methods of how a person can also quantum leap. As Price Pritchett in the U Squared, when he mentioned, he said, make your move before you're ready. Don't wait. Don't just second guess anything. He said, getting ready is quite frankly a stalling tactic, an act of anxiety, a con game. You're working on yourself. You are already positioned to escape to a higher plane of performance. If you wait, you can get it perfect. You will never get it all at all.
There's never a perfect timing.
There's never a perfect timing. He said the time to start is now. Right now. It's never in the future, and it's never in the past. Make your decisions today. Affirm it to yourself. You owe it to yourself. You deserve to live your best life and to achieve your highest achievements. But make that decision now, right now.
And don't wait for anyone to make it for you. Don't wait for something to, I used to remember, I'll do this when, and I'll do that when. And it was always out there in the future. And I realized that thinking, held me back from truly experiencing greater in life, greater health, greater wealth, everything, because you're waiting for something to happen before you honor yourself. And yeah.
The thing is that you need to make sure that you make the decision when the idea is hot and the heart is on fire. Because what happens is that when you keep thinking when this happens and when that happens, it's only a matter of days and weeks before the whole idea that you had in your mind dwindles down and it disappears and you forget about it. And you'll end up in a daily trivia to the point that you're going to enslave yourself all over again.
And you're going to regret that you didn't make that move. How many times, I think we said this last week, how many times people say, I had that idea that came to me and I never took action. I remember when I was going to interview to be a teacher, and there were layoffs everywhere. I'm like, how am I going to compete with teachers who are looking for jobs that they have 20 years experience. And here I am, just going into the field and have no experience. So I came up with this, I had this idea, and I actually did it. I had this idea to take a binder, and we had to do a portfolio that we would give to the principals when we went on the interview. And I took the binder, and I had this crazy idea, like, what if I videotaped, the work that I'm doing in my practical, and then let that be part of my portfolio where the principal would see me in action with the students. So I took a video, a picture frame, a video picture frame that I had the SD card in it. I cut the binder, the top cover of a leather binder. I cut it out. I inserted the picture frame in it. And now I went on the interviews with this binder that had me in action, right? And then I was like, I'm going to patent this idea. So I took the next step, and I did. If you look it up, there's a patent called electronic binder. And then I remember, I'm like, okay, I'm going to call Kodak, and I'm going to call all these, companies that manufacture, a 3M company, and they all wanted my patent, but didn't want to give me anything for it. So I'm like, oh, forget this. I'm not going to give them. So I shut down the idea instead of going forward to the next step and thinking about, making a decision. Instead of a decision that I cut down, I shut down the idea of actually making someone manufacture this. But I took action, and then I stopped myself, and this electronic binder could have been out there on the shelf somewhere. So like you said, it's don't wait, take action and continue on that path. Don't let, because I did let the outside world influence me by thinking, oh, this product is going to be outdated because, electronics get outdated every 6 months. Something new is going to come out. So I let that kind of thinking get in the way of my invention, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have a story. I worked at a school at a time, and they always wanted to upgrade the school to make it better, just to add sufficient improvements in terms of safety and security. But I go ahead, I have my reports ready, I bring in the contractors, and provided them over a period of 2 years, probably around 9 different quotations from different companies. It took them more than 2.5 years to decide. Now, all of this time could have been eliminated if they would have made the decision early at the beginning. But unfortunately, it does affect your business. It does affect your life dramatically. Napoleon Hill stated, he said, when you make a decision, make it quickly. And change them, and change them rarely, if at all. Now, when Andrew Carnegie had Napoleon Hill over for an interview, he spent 3 full days with Andrew Carnegie, as Andrew Carnegie was explaining to him the success philosophy on how he accumulated his wealth. He asked Napoleon Hill, and he said, I want you to come up with a success philosophy. I want you to interview these most successful people within the United States. He said, I will not be supporting you financially for it. Now, given Napoleon Hill was broke at the time, he said, but this would be something that would be valuable for humanity, because Andrew Carnegie didn't want to go to his grave carrying all this knowledge with him. So he basically appointed Napoleon Hill, and he asked him, he said, are you ready to dedicate 20 to 25 years of your life, for which there will be no reimbursement for you, to this work? And I think it took Napoleon Hill 29 seconds before he said yes. And because of that, we have a book called Think and Grow Rich today, and the Law of Success. Now, Andrew Carnegie revealed to Napoleon Hill later on, he said, that he had a stopwatch under the desk and he was looking at it. And he said that if it would have hit a whole minute, he would have retracted the idea from appointing him as such. You know, and
How crucial, right? He changed so many lives because
Yes.
of that one decision he made so quickly.
Absolutely. And look at this part. He was broke. And he was told in his face that there will be no financial compensation from Andrew Carnegie for all this work, that you're on your own, but you have to come up with it. And that takes me back to Bob always mentioned about George Bernard Shaw when describing circumstances. And he said, people are always blaming circumstances for what they are.
Yes.
And he says, I don't believe in circumstances. He said, the people who get on in this world are the people who get up and look for the circumstances they want. And if they can't find them, they make them.
Create them. Yeah.
They create them.
So that's so beautiful, because when we take ownership, right? We take control. We're in control when we create the circumstances we want in our life. We're not looking on the outside to influence our decisions. And this is for everything that we do, from, working in your job, working, making decision to go away sometimes, right? Even a simple decision to go away, we procrastinate saying, can I do this? Can I give up this time? And I'm so busy. And all of that, creates a pattern in our subconscious mind that if we can't make decisions on one thing, then it's going to go into another thing, and then we become dependent on other people to make decisions for us, right? So it's so crucial to take action, and regardless of what the outcome may be, to trust that there's something greater than us moving us into that direction. When we get a desire, I remember in one of the trainings in Napoleon Hill, we used to say, I think what's his name said it, I forget. It's a marching order. It's you get a desire to do something.
Dr. Joe Vitale.
Dr. Joe Vitale, he said, you get a desire to do something, and it is a marching order from God. It's a gift to you. So it is important that we move forward and not have limited beliefs that it cannot be accomplished. Because again, my further studying, as you mentioned, indicated that if we get an idea and it's a gift and a marching order from God, there is no way he will not provide us what we need to accomplish that. But you have to believe in the unseen.
Absolutely. And as you mentioned, a very nice point. When we ask ourselves, are we able to? You got to ask yourself, are you willing? That's the key here. Because if,
Yes.
as Bob said, if you're willing, then you definitely have the ability to do it. And he mentions a quote from Steve Bow. And it's a beautiful quote. He says, God's gift to us is more talent and abilities than we'll ever hope to use in our lifetime. Our gift to God is to develop as much of that talent and ability as we can in this lifetime.
I love that. What a beautiful quote, right? And it's so true. So we got to let go of the fear, the doubt, the worries. How am I going to do this? Because the how will appear once you make a commitment to yourself. Once you make that decision and you go after your desires, and people, places, and things will show up once you make that decision. And I know a lot of people have done that. We're in many communities that we understand this work, and it means so much to follow your heart, right? You don't suffer, or you don't have regrets that you didn't take action on something.
And here is how things will show up. As there's a beautiful poem by James Allen, and you got to use your mind with this one. It said, mind is the master power that molds and makes, and man is mind, and evermore he takes the tool of thought, and shaping what he wills, brings forth 1,000 joys, 1,000 ills. He thinks in secret, and it comes to pass. environment is but his looking glass.
How beautiful. How beautiful. I would encourage everyone to look up this poem and repeat it to yourself many times, because that will definitely shape the mind to think differently and to make decisions that truly align with whatever it is that you want in life, so that you can achieve, your desires. I just like want to end it right now, because that beautiful quote, I don't want to, spoil it and add more information. But thank you, Ahmed, so much. Thank you, everyone, for
Thank you.
joining us today. And again, make decisions based on your heart and whatever your heart desires. Thank you for joining us. I'm your host, Giovanna Tarderone.
And I'm your co-host, Ahmed Bahman. Make sure you decide right now.
Go after it. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change for Harmonious Living. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Spark